This is part 2 for the 700 R4 transmission teardown. Part 1 was showing for the removal of the bottom of the transmission, which is right here on the case for the bottom, and valve body and everything with that, transmission pan, all that. I was on part 1. And part 2, we're gonna get inside this barrel of the case of this transmission 700 R4. But before we go any further into this, we gotta go back to part 1, having to do with this auxiliary accumulator valve body assembly, referred to a check ball location that I mentioned on the last video in part 1, that about this check ball here. This check ball, when you see it from this view, it's supposed to be on the first hole right there. You have this one and one next to it, okay? It doesn't go in the second hole. It doesn't go there. It goes right here on the first hole. This one right there. That's closest to this box right here, the square. This location. Now this is just a tear down we're doing. We're not putting it back. This is not an assembly. This is tear down only on this video for this part 2 as well as part 1. But I just wanted to point out that I did mention it goes in here. It does not go in this second hole. It goes in this first hole. Right there. Just wanted to clear that up. All right, now we got that to the side. Like I said, we're done with the bottom of the transmission. It's sitting right here, and then these were the previous pieces from part 1. The tailpiece, the servo, and the governor. All that's was what we did, what was done in part 1. So the bottom of the transmission is finished. So now we start by taking this pump off, get inside the barrel, and take every piece out, piece by piece. So let's get started on it. Bolts on this pump is going to be a 13 millimeter. whatever bolt or whatever pieces I remove from here on, I won't be putting it inside of the transmission pin. Just to keep everything separate as much as possible. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Got them all loose. Okay, over in this area, the bottom of the transmission, just right below where you insert the transmission filter in, just like an inch below, or probably less than an inch below, you'll see it. It's an area, a hole, where you can see inside the barrel of this case. Actually, you can see the reverse input drum for the. It's got the band around it also, and the anchor pin is like right below that to the right a little bit. But just right below where you insert the transmission filter, you get a little screwdriver, and you're going on the edge. You're just going right underneath on the bottom side of the transmission pump, and you just get in enough and just take your time, just pry it up slowly, a little bit there, and to the left you should see another opening, and you just get it right there. Make it easier if you get these two spots here instead of just trying that one. That way it can kind of like, you know, it's way up. You don't want to put too much force, just enough, just a little bit like that. And then now instead of pushing down, now you can probably just, you know, push up whichever's easiest. And then just keep going back in, and then there it is. Like I was saying in the first video about that lockup that was right here with these two screws here that bolts it down. It's already removed. If you didn't take that out, you try to pull it out, you would have broken the this right here. This would have snapped and broke off. So that's why it makes it a lot simpler and more steady just to completely remove the bottom of the transmission first, and then you go into the barrel of the case. And so transmission pump is loose. Now just pull it up. Just like that. Still has transmission gasket. Well, a piece broke off. It's always good to get a new one when you pull this pump off, especially if you see a crack somewhere or whatever. This is where the transmission filter goes into. When you install the transmission filter, still has the orange rubber seal in there. So this is the transmission pump. Put this to the side. Now when I'm putting these parts over here, I'm lining it up as each piece comes off. Like I just laid the servo here. This was from the first video. Now I'm putting the pump, transmission pump right here. So whatever else I remove, I'm gonna go right ahead of it in a straight line. When I get to the end, if I get to the end, then I'll start a new roll and start the new roll that way. And if there's any more, then I'll start another one there and there, you know, so on. It just keeps everything in line the way it was removed. So when you put it back, you know, you just start from where you last ended and go backwards all the way till you get to the beginning, and then you just basically, when you assembling, you're just reversing what you did when you was removing. And just makes it a lot easier in all kind of ways. And it's always best also to be stationary when you're doing this. You don't want to be you know, moving this around. You want to just have it stationary put as you removing it, you know, and just keep everything in order or in line. Just makes it a lot easier. That's all I'm saying. So, got this input shaft right here, and got to remove this band. It's going around this drum right here. So you just stick a screwdriver or something between the band and the drum itself, and then you just push the band away from the case towards the, push it to the drum, get in between the band and the case, push it to the drum. Then you can push this anchor pin out. See, this just popped out right here, pops out of the bottom of the transmission. Keeps the band anchored. That's why they call it a band anchor pin. So that just came out. It's flat on this side. On the bottom, it's a flat circle, but on this end, this is what actually goes into the case to pin down to anchor the band. So you got little pieces like this, you know, put it in something. However, whichever's best way. Pull that out. Now the input shaft with the drum assembly for this input drum assembly should be free now. So go ahead and lift this whole thing up. Oh, looks like we got a broken piece in here. Oh yeah, that's a problem right there. And then these third and fourth clutches right here, they don't look okay. But we'll get to that. And this reverse drum comes off of this input shaft assembly, just like that. This little washer here, it hooks to the back of the transmission pump. The holes, little pegs that stick out, insert to the back of the transmission pump, and then this flat side just lays flat on that. Pump goes on top of this. So set that there. Still got that O-ring seal right there. Got bearings right here. We got some damage right in here. Okay, now here's the band. This inner piece here wraps around a reverse drum, and this is where that anchor pin anchors this band right there. It goes from the bottom transmission and runs through. Just like that. Just gonna wrap this around the reverse drum. Put that right there. And before I go any further inside the barrel, I'm gonna go ahead and open these sub assemblies right here, starting with this reverse drum here. Just gonna put this on the bottom of this. Okay, let's see. Trying to have this as close as possible. I think that'll work. All right, much better. We got a set of clutches in here, fibers and steels, but to get to all that, got to pop off the snap drum. So let's go here with a screwdriver. Should work just perfect enough, or two if you have to. Nice and easy with two. And then the other one, just start it up on the end, pull it up, and then you should be able to pop back down. Got it started, and then it should wheel around. There it is, snap ring. Slide this to the end down here. Now I can pull all these clutches out. Keep them in order the way they come out. Get them all out. Till you just see the piston. Just the piston there. You have to have a press tool to press this down. Here are the top, the bottom, the way it just came out. It's flat on that side, and it's got a inner bevel on the top side. This is the thickest plate, goes on the top. Then following that, you got a fiber clutch. Which looks fair to me still. And then the steel. Then the fiber clutch. Steel clutch. Fiber, steel, fiber, steel, and then plate for the back or the bottom. It's kind of wavy, not wavy, but you can see the way it's bent. The inner is higher than where these teeth are at. Don't have it upside down where the teeth are higher. You have it. It goes in where the teeth are lower than the inner part of the circle of this plate here. Put that back on the bottom. That's all of these look okay to me, but mainly if I see one set of these clutches, which is there's 5 different sets, this is one of the 5. If I see one of them that's bad, I'm going to replace them all, you know. But set these over here. These bushings look somewhat fair. They're not bad. I'll just have to figure out later if I want to replace them or not, depending on now to remove this. If you want to remove this piston here, you have to press this down because it's got a little snap ring there, or it makes it easier to push it down. So let me go ahead and get that real quick. This tool right here. Well, actually, I think this is more like for when you get to the very bottom of the barrel of this case. Actually, out all the way. There we go. Separate now. Try not to bend it. There it is. Now the snap ring's off. This can come off. And this piston can come off now. It's got a seal. Goes around the side edge. It's also got one on the inside too as well. Check to see if those are bad or if they're okay or whatever. Sits there. There you have it. You have bearings in here also. Right there on this side and the inside right there, and then just below that, which you flip this around on this opposite side, this one there also. Check to see those are good or bad. I'm just gonna drop everything back in here loose, just to conserve space. And same thing with these clutches here. This came from there. I just put everything there loose, so when I'm actually ready to get it to replace the replacement parts, it's already done, and all I gotta do is just, you know, swap it and put it back together whenever reassembling it. So that's takes care of that reverse drum there. So now go to this, and this feels pretty like it's missing something. I can see why it's not going in third gear. Look at that. Should be able to turn it like that. That's not good. I'm gonna just set this in here without dropping anything. That goes in there. But I'm gonna take it off for now. Set it upside down up here. Set that right there. That'll work. Okay. Oh, just like the other one, ain't nothing gonna come out of here. I should take this, start off with the snap ring up here. So the other one falling. I just ain't just leave it there. Ain't going nowhere. Fall. Okay. Get that one started. That in. Pop off this snap. Just pop off the snap ring. So get the other one. There it is. Go ahead and take this one off. Now these got the little springs. And the other transmission I worked on didn't have these springs, but this transmission does. So I'm bringing this close where you can see. It's got these little let me pull one out. Spring loaders that set in the big gaps that go all the way around. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of them. You just drop in just like that. Like I said, my other transmission I opened up didn't have these. It just like better to have them on that they say it would say. I'll go ahead and pull all 5 of these out. Where you see the spring exposed goes facing towards the inner part, center, faces the inside. Now this solid side where you can't see the spring faces the outwards, inner, outwards. Pull these out and let's go back with this one. Just like the other one's got the bevel inner edge that faces up. The bottom side is flat. Got a fiber clutch here, and just like I said, 3rd and 4th clutch failure. These fibers looks good on this side, okay, looks fair on this side. You can see still got the edges, still got the fiber. When you flip it to the back side, you see it's almost to the metal, you know, like you would see brake pads. So this, you can see right underneath that on this steel plate, you can see the markings, how like it's metal to metal, like, you know, like a brake caliber, you know, the brakes when with no more brake pads on it, just rubbing metal to metal on the rotor and the brakes. It's kind of like that in a way. So there's that steel. Again, these fibers are worn out, burnt up, worn out. They're not burnt up. These I seen burnt before. These are like just worn. You know, it's time. You know. This transmission is off of 1988. That one looks okay, fair a little bit. I mean, fair, not okay. It looks fair. You see how it's looking like on the steel side, like it's getting ready to burn up, because it's almost, you know, you can hardly say that there's enough fiber left. It's steel right there, fiber. That one don't look too bad. But you could tell the way the metal looks, it's heating up metal to metal. It's getting real thin. And then it's just started slipping. So when it want to hit third gear, it's like slipping. It's not wanting to do what it does. On top of this, not just these clutches here. Also, on the last video, we've seen an accumulator. One of the accumulators had a broken spring in it. That can also, you know, this looks like we're dealing with more than one issue here. So it's nothing major so far what I've seen, though. Actually 3, but all these clutches are wearing out. This is common. More like we're dealing, really, this is like a #1 common issue with these transmissions, but it's not something that just happens. Like, it's like years down the road. I mean, years, you know, because my opinion is, I believe, you know, and I know these are very good transmissions, the way they're built, these 700 R4s. That's that fiber. This is 3 steels on the bottom. Then they actually they came up with a new design for these 3 plates right here, and they made a plate design where they merged all 3 of these into one. The retrofit, like an update version, upgrade, but you know, can still use this same way, just don't mix them up. things that stick out face down. Okay, now to get to these next set that's under here, because there's still more in here, gotta take another snap ring off. These long screwdrivers, like this one here, is very friendly to do for working on a transmission. Gives you that good leverage. If you have a little harder time with the smaller screwdrivers, just bust out one of these big ones, so make it a lot simpler. Like I said, don't bend it, just work your way around and around. There it is. All this is ready to come out. Sit that right there. Only goes one way. Can't go that way. Go that way. Go ahead and set this over here. Pull the rest of these. Got two more sets of clutches that we're dealing with, that we're getting out right now. And bit of steel. And another steel. Now within all of this are 2 sets of clutches. You can tell them apart. Starting with the top, after that other snap ring. You can really tell what's on the top, what goes top first. But like I said, just keep it in order as much as possible, you know. It's a fiber. Now these, so far, I'm not seeing really nothing wrong with these. Just little worn, but you can hardly tell. So they look okay. Steel, fiber, steel, fiber, steel. Yep, there's nothing wrong with these. Maybe that one, just a little bit. They're getting thin though. I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, they're okay, they're good. They don't look bad, but they're okay. But this one right here looks thin. They just starting to spec metal. Oh, they're now showing metal right there. This is bad. Other ones don't look too far away from being much better than that one. Another steel. Now this is where we separate to the other set. So you're gonna have 2 fiber clutches on this. So here's a thick plate that separates between the 2. So the teeth start looking a little different. Just keep them in order. Shouldn't have much of a problem. These look okay. They actually got still the thickness on these still. Like I could say these 2 right here, these 2 fiber clutches are good. They're not great, but they're good. Still gonna replace them all. I'm gonna replace all 5 of these sets. They've still got one more set of clutches on the very bottom, the barrel of this case. But we'll be getting to that in a little bit. So here's 2 different sets of clutches. So you got 3 sets that go in here. Three that go in here. 1, 2, 3 sets. The fourth one, a fourth one goes into that right down there. I'm pointing at a reverse drum. That takes 1 set, and then like I said, the 5th one, it's on the very bottom inside the case still. We haven't got to yet. So I'm gonna set these over here with this. It goes one way, not the other. Just set it on top of this plate there. Just keep it together. Clearly, I see that I have to. I can't really show this piece because there's really nothing left of it. Here's the washer that sits on it, but let's see right here, all this crumbling, and there. See, there's some pieces. Ain't much of it left. It just still on the bottom and partially on the sides broken off, but the top part of it is completely broken away and don't know where it went. But you can see these three little check balls in there. It's the plastic piece that goes right there. Right off the hand, I'm not going to be saying the exact names of everything, to be honest. From the day I'm making this video, as of right now, I've done my first transmission rebuild around this time of year 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, around this time of the month, you know, I did my first rebuild, but it wasn't my only rebuild. You know, I did other rebuilds, but not too many, but, you know, really got into it, you know, just to be honest. So I'm just keeping it real. So again, just like that reverse drum, you want this piston to come out, another snap ring. I'm gonna go set this is another bearing that sits like this. See, with those ends sticking out, that'll be on the bottom. See, this end is the top. It's supposed to sit there on top of that plastic piece that's no longer, it's partially there now. It's not there all the way anymore. I'm go ahead and set this aside. Now snap ring right here. Swing this way. Okay. I think I can use this one on this one. Let me see. Make it easier. Yeah, I think this is more like I said, for the bottom of the barrel and that other piston down there. So there we go. Okay, this one is difficult. I'll tell you what, let's try this. At least try to push it down. That way it can loosen the snap ring a little bit, make it easier, just a little bit easier. Man, that case really got me. Kind of cut me. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. Hopefully. That's okay, I see. Okay. Okay, almost lost it. Okay. This one sure is trying to give me hell, but I'm gonna give it hell right back in just a minute. I normally don't remove these uh, uh, these pistons underneath on this bottom. You know, there it is. But after I rebuild this transmission, I'm rebuilding another exact one back to back after this one. So I'm just gonna pretty much the whole thing, you know, because I'm don't want to have to go back and open these up again, and that way when I'm done sealing back up, I know that you know, I don't have to worry about opening them up again, because I actually went through and did everything instead of just, you know, halfway just trying to just repair a certain thing with a certain issue. I'm just going to the whole thing. If I see something look bad that don't look good, or it doesn't look too much okay, if it looks fair, I'm gonna replace it. If it looks okay, I might think about it, you know, but don't want to have to keep opening these up just because, oh, I should have did that last time. You know what I mean? But just like the other one, this is a snap ring, and this piston comes out. Actually, it's got the little peg sticking up that fit these springs. And there's another one. See, in this one, it's got the rubber ring around it as well as the inside. It's got one on the inside and it's got one on the outside edge. And then on this one, same thing. It's got one on the outside, it's got one on the inside. It's rubber seal. This got the bottom looks like this. This is the top where the little teeth point up. Like that. See, it's just like that, and another piece in here. Set that down right there for a second. Actually, I'm gonna just turn this upside down so that remaining of that can come out. Just pop it off like that. Here's the piece, plastic piece I was talking about that was stuck on the bottom still and partially on the sides, and the top was missing where the sides just broke off. Right there. And that's everything out. See? This piece is, here's another piece right here. See the teeth goes in there. There's nothing left of it now. But yeah, I can see why third gear didn't want to work. So that takes care of that. And here are the other pieces that sat in there. That would have came up next. Another spring ring, and this. The claws pointing up. And this is the very bottom. Also has a seal around the outer edge, and as well as the inner edge. The smaller edges point up, where you see the outer seal around the edge. That's on the farthest bottom. So this piece, then that sits on top of it. Then the springs, the ring of springs sits on top of that. And then this, where this small edge is on the bottom for this piece. Just throw that in there. And this is from the other pieces that I put to the side. Got this piece with the teeth pointing up. That sits right there. This piston with the pegs for the springs to sit on. Sit that on there. And the snap ring that released it all sits right there. All of this right here together goes in here. Then you put the snap ring on that seals this in here. So that's it for this input shaft assembly. Okay, so now got that done. Those are basically the sub assemblies right there. And got these planetary gear sets. This would actually this going to be 2 planetary gear sets in here. Now, each planetary gear set make up of 2 gears. So since there's 2 planetary gear sets, each of the 2, you know, each one is for, you know, its own, you know, 2 gear shifts. So if you have that, one will have to do with 2 gears. So if you got 2 sets of these planetary gear sets, you know, that's having to do with 4 gears. And again, what I was saying earlier about that 5th gear having to do with the torque converter, this is why they technically call this a 4-speed overdrive, because it's got two planetary gear sets. So since it has two, it involves 4 gears, you know, coming from these planetary gear sets. So that 5th gear is actually it comes from the torque converter. It comes from the lockup, which the function of the torque converter for that lockup is what makes that overdrive kick in. So that's why they technically call this a 4-speed overdrive, because just with these planetary gear sets, that's just involving 4 gears right there. So that's the technical way when you don't include that torque converter with the locking up for the torque converter, where you get that 30% overdrive from after you're already in 4th gear. It kicks in after 4th gear. So pull this planetary set out and pull the sun ring out. Forward sun ring out. And these bearings look okay. It's got 2 bearings. I mean bushings, not bearings, bushings. These are bushings. And now this planet carrier, actually, we're gonna have to pull a snap ring out for the rear out, for the output shaft, not the input shaft. Input shaft is over there already, right there in the corner over there. That's for the input shaft. Now, got this right here is the output shaft, where it goes to the tail of the transmission, where it sticks out. The other end of the output shaft sticks out here, where you hook up the drive shaft. So now we're on the other half of the barrel. This is the output end, though. The other end we just did before this was the input end. This is the output end. Output. And you gotta pull the snap ring out. I'm gonna set this sun ring down right here. Or actually, I'm gonna start a new roll right here. Since this roll will be the output and then on. First roll is all, you know, I'm trying to see if I can pop this planet carrier off. Make it a little easier to get that snap ring out. It won't be in the way as much. Can't get it out, well, you can still get the snap ring out with it still being there. It just if it don't want to come out now, then I guess I'll just work around it. That's how you usually just wait till you get the snap ring off, then take the, not the ring gear, but the planet carrier that's sitting on top of the ring gear. So, let's see if I could do this. See if this planet carrier will come up out the way so I can have easier access to a snap ring. Because I think this is like the most difficult snap ring of them all. It's not really that difficult, but you know, I might be over exaggerating when I say that, but sometimes it don't want to be so simple either. And that planet carrier doesn't want to come out, so I'll just get the snap ring off of this output shaft so I can free all of this underneath, running below this barrel, this case. Use the snap rings, pliers. See if I got a good angle there. Almost had it. Okay. Try it again. Almost had it. Come on, it gotta be difficult. There it go. Right there. Careful, you don't want to release it and it pop up. You know, this thing will fly away. You won't find it nowhere. That happened to me with a bigger snap ring than this. Like, a snap ring this big. I swear to God, I could not find it nowhere. I was like, oh my God, I had to go get another one. Okay. Snap ring. Now, oh, right here. Now the output shaft, you need to pull it out. You see, I got this 5-gallon bucket here with a broken flywheel to sit on. So with this removed, it'll fit through that center, the output shaft, you know, so I need to just raise that up, whatever way. You can just like that. And output shaft is completely free now. It's in that bucket with this transmission is sitting on right now. It's completely free, so everything else is free to move. So you got this planet carrier right here. You want to check these. On this one, this looks like one of the original ones. It's got the 4 upgraded kind. It's got 5 they're the same. It just 5 would be better than 4, I guess. You know, just like if you had a stool with the wheels on it, you know, one of them shop stools that roll around while you're sitting. You know, if it had 4 wheels, well, if you had 5 wheels, that's even better. Something like that to say. Anyway, this one's good. You could just wiggle them around and see what the play on it is. If it's too loose, they're bad. There's that one, and so this is good. This planet carrier is good. Sun ring that we just took out prior to this sits in between the 4. See how these spin? I'm gonna put that in there. All the teeth. See, it turns the planets. The sun turns the planets. The planets go around the sun. Okay, I'm gonna pull this other piece out. It's the ring gear right here. It's got these teeth here, and these planets mesh with the planets. See, ring gear and the planet carrier. Planet carrier meshes. The ring gear and the planets mesh together, and then the sun, I guess, mesh with the planets. The sun mesh with the planets, and the planets mesh with the ring. You see how it's like goes backwards too, whatever. It depends on what kind of gear you in or whatever. Or if you're going reverse, or neutral, something might stay still, and then something else move and makes it go the other direction. It's got bushings down here too, and this is the front planetary gear set right here. The front planetary gear set right here. Set these over here, upside down. And next is the sun shell. Got pieces of that plastic from the input shaft. It's got this all over the place. Sure, it's a part that's about $5 or less. Ain't gonna be no $10. Anyway, got this brass piece right here, like a thrust bearing or something like that. Fits in to see the pegs those go inside these 4 holes there. Those 4 go in those 4 arms sticking down go in these holes. Usually some of these sun shells that go bad right here, this would be like one of the top 3, another one of the top 3 common issues with these transmissions. This will break off, or these teeth right here will no longer grip and just, but still will have the same outcome issue of what's going wrong with it. So they sell like heat treated this area here to make it stronger. So when you buy a newer one, that's gonna have, you just make sure it's heat treated right there. It's just focusing on this area right here. Sun shell is the sun shell, and this faces this way, the way it came out. Now what we got here is the rear sun gear for the rear planetary gear set, but can't take out anything else because we got to remove a big giant snap ring to pull this solid like a backing plate or whatever, pressure plate right here. Gotta take that snap ring off. I'm gonna set the sun ring over here to the side, and I'm gonna bust out this big screwdriver. And this snap ring is not difficult at all to me. I really like this snap ring because it's so simple and easy. It's like I get happy when I see this snap ring compared to some of the other ones. That lets me know, like if I'm tearing it down, I'm like, oh, I'm almost done tearing it down. But when I see it again trying to reassemble, it's always the beginning of putting it all back together. But I don't think to say that in a bad way or nothing like that. I just try to, take your time with it, and at the same time, like what you're doing, Snap ring. So okay. Now there's 2 ways to do this. One, I can just try to pry this off with a screwdriver and get every piece out one by one. Which I'm gonna try to do. Or I'll just tip it over upside down because there's really not much weight to this left. And everything will come out, but when you do that, you want to make sure everything don't start spilling out, you know, out of order. You know, a reason why I would say don't do this unless you have to. But also, before you do that or anything, you have anti-rattle clip, which is holding everything in place here. So actually it's not really holding, but it's kind of in the way a little bit. But if I get like a, try to loosen this. Get my other hand. Where did it go? Here it is. Try to loosen that up a little bit. And if you don't want to, then we don't have the output shaft. We move this output shaft out the way now. It's the output shaft. This is the top, and this is the bottom where you will hook up the drive shaft. It will be out like that, and you hook up the drive shaft at the end. And this shaft, it's got a different for the speedometer. The one where you got the speedometer, where you actually can hook up a speedometer cable and screw it on, won't work for this kind of output shaft. Happened because of this. This is for actually just a wire connector. Vehicle speed control sensor, where you just plug in the wire instead of screwing in a speedometer cable. That's the only difference between that. You can change this, you can change the shaft, or you can somehow change the piece. But when you got this solid one here, not the plastic gears on it with the like red or blue or whatever color, you got this solid metal here where it's magnetic or whatever. You might want to just, if you can, just get another output shaft to where you don't have to remove this, because these ain't real too simple to remove versus the plastic ones where you could just pop off a clip and there it's off. You know, you could just keep it like this in case if you're interchanging shafts or swapping a vehicle that so happens to take the same transmission but it has different speedometer hookups. You could just basically just swap the shaft, you know, and then either swap this whole tailpiece or just take off this sensor here and just replace it with the regular screw-in cable for the speedometer. And put this output shaft there so it won't roll. And still didn't want to come loose. So this is what I'm gonna do here. Bring it over here. It's not that heavy now, but you always want to be careful with this case. Tilt it on the side there, and then just try not to lay it on the bottom side of it. most likely you're gonna clean this case. It's best to clean this case, especially if you have pieces with debris and even metal pieces that cause damage while you had to open it up in the first place. You want to clean all that off. Clean this whole case up. This case is aluminum. It's not gonna hurt it. Just let it dry, you know. And but just if you're trying to clean every other piece, just pay attention to what the metal is made out of, because there's a few pieces that are not aluminum, and they can rust if you get it wet. So if you do get them wet for some reason, you want to let it dry about 30 minutes, and then right away after that, spray some WD-40 or some lubricant spray, you know, just so it don't rust. Especially your valve body. You don't want no rust anywhere in this transmission. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab this output shaft and force it back up here, and that will get my rubber hammer. Get like a rubber hammer if you got to, and there it go. Got just that simple. Big easier than just tipping it over, because it might fall out of place. You know, when you hit it up like that, don't just barely tap it with a rubber hammer. And when you felt some pieces move, then you loosen it up. Got this little piece that just fell out, little rod piece, which goes with the linkage right here. But this piece that's moving right here hooks up here. I'm not gonna keep it there though, because I'm gonna clean the case up. This is a part for the valve body, so this piece goes inside the transmission case. I mean the transmission pan. You don't want to lose that either. And so I got the pressure plate loose and free. So what I'm gonna do is stand it up back here, because it's a better view. And make it a lot easier to show what I'm saying. Now, this little plastic ring here with the teeth pointing down sits on this pressure plate, right? Just pick any of the slots and they'll all fit in the same. It just sits on there. It's the pressure plate. That's what it looks like on the bottom. And this piece actually comes off, but I'm just gonna leave it on for now. See this piece here? Go ahead and show half of it, because you don't want to be careful with these rollers. They'll pop out and go all over the place if you're not careful how you take this out. See, and goes back in just like that pressure plate. After you remove the snap ring, try to keep this And what's next is the rear planet the rear planet carrier. Much bigger than the front planet carrier. It also has 4 planets. 1, 2, 3, 4. See? That's the bottom. It sits like this. This sits on top. Sits in like that. And I'm gonna put that to the side, along with putting the rear sun ring into the rear planet carrier. See there? Planets go around the sun on this planet carrier. That also's got bushings on it too. Now we could pull out this last set of clutches, and that was all. So there's this also have to do with reverse. You got this fiber. These look okay, good to me. You got a steel, you got a fiber, steel. See, in the metal, you don't see no coloring or nothing like that, nothing funny going on or whatever. You can see still even got the gaps right there where it's still kind of filled up. But I know I feel like there's been debris going around. So it just, my opinion, best. If you got one set that's bad that I've just seen, and actually more than one, some was like fair and okay, and then might have one bad out of the set or whatever, just going to replace all 5 sets as a complete. And that fiber looks okay, and this steel, this fiber looks like it's chipping away a little bit, but it's still okay, good. Just got some debris floating around, I guess. Of course, whenever you got something going on, it's gonna be in the fluid. You want to keep the fluid as clean as possible. I'm not saying change it every year or nothing like that. You know, you don't want to have nothing besides transmission fluid in here, and the only type of transmission fluid that's supposed to go for this particular transmission. The other transmissions take other different kind of, you don't want to put the wrong transmission fluid in here, is what I'm saying. So this is the last clutch, the last of the 5 clutches. Let's set that over here. And what we got here is the rear ring gear. It's got a bearing on the bottom. See where it's got the gap on the edge, that will be facing up. And you see, well, it looks like that on both sides, but on this inner side, you see the gap on the inner side, that's going to point down. If you see the gap on the outer side, it's going to point up for this rain gear. There's another bearing. Basically the same thing, but this one is a little easier to identify. It's got a little lip that sticks out, and that's gonna sit in that groove. And now back to this planet carrier and sun gear. This planet carrier, these planets you see down there, it's gonna mesh with take the sun gear out. Okay, there it went. See the planets go around the ring, and then you drop the sun gear, planets go around the sun, and also the ring gear. See? Like I said, there's bearings in this too. You see them. And anti-rattle clip. Very important when you assemble back together. Which you're facing this way, I'm facing this way. This is the bottom of the transmission, so this is the 6 o'clock position. That's the 12. That's the 12 o'clock. This is the 3 o'clock position. This is the 6 o'clock. That would be the 9 o'clock. So at the 5 o'clock position, there's the 6, there's the 5. At the 5 o'clock position, this clip will be just like that. See the little hump that goes in, where there could be a corner like this one, but it's not. Is the corner's dented in. That goes like this. See right here, and you just drop it down directly on the 5 o'clock position of this barrel, and you'll, as you're getting further down, you'll see exactly where it lines up at. It has the same shape on the case, and then you just, that's when you installing it though. I'm just briefly just pointing out right now on this, just to give an idea. It'll be shown later on the reassembly, much closer than this. But 5 o'clock position is where its location at. And now, all we got left is this piston. Just like we've been taking out the other pistons and sub-assemblies. see where we at. Okay. All right. Now this is actually will work good on this now, because it's got on the case itself, it's got edges where it can grip. And just adjust it right, and then swing the edges over to where it grabs onto the walls of the case. And try to get as center as possible. And then you just tighten it down. But when the claws on the bottom, you make sure that it's sitting on the ring, the spring of ring, the ring of springs, just like you've seen on them other assemblies. Sometimes this thing want to move out of place, and there we go. You gotta make sure this top bar is lined up, and then you gotta make sure this bottom claw is actually sitting on the ring of springs, so it can push down the springs, so you can just pop off the snap ring real easier, you know, than just trying to just fight with it and get the snap ring off, when you can just apply that pressure, and then you can easily get the snap ring out a lot easier on this, especially this piston here. And if it's difficult to turn for some reason a little bit, then you just bust out some vice grips or something to turn this little propeller turner to make it tighter. Get it tight enough to where it's pushed down, the springs are pushed down enough to where it'll make that snap ring come out real easy. I just couldn't use it on the other, the sub assemblies, because it wasn't trying to fit on right. They probably have one actually for those, but this, what I got here, it ain't working for me to do the other ones, but it's working to do this right here. So just get it tight enough. You don't have to get all the way flush flat down. You just get it just enough to where you relieve the pressure off, to where the snap ring out. Got this in the way still. I'm turning just a little more. That should be good enough. And I don't think the snap ring pliers has got that wide of a range to grip. We're supposed to. I might have to bust out. I was afraid of that. I might have to use 2 screwdrivers. Okay. So Seem pretty loose. These ain't wide enough. Or, let me see. There we go. I got these 45-degree tips on this, and they look like they go wider. I think we'll find out in a minute. Let's see. This way. There you go. Just like that. Okay, let's see what this do. They didn't do much. Make much of a difference. Alright, I'm gonna have to screwdriver this. That's what it's looking like. Okay, almost got it. The snap range could take time sometimes. Just try not to, don't get frustrated about it. Just do what you can do. But anyway, just to show up close, trying to wrap this up. And basically, this is pretty much it for the teardown. I'll give you a close-up of this. So you can see exactly where and how you place that tool. See, you see that bottom claw that it sits on this. See where them circles at? Those where the springs are at, and that's the ring. You just make sure that those claw for this is pushing down on the rings for these springs, and then just right in here, and that little groove right there, you can barely see it, but it's a tiny snap ring. And you just make sure you have different type of snap ring pliers or changeable tip pieces, that because not all the snap rings are the same, and you might get to one like I got to this one here. This is basically the last of this teardown. Once I pop that snap ring off, it's just a piston there and that ring of springs, and that's it. It's basically, you know, it's like another one of these. It's just piston, you know. See, it's got the ring of springs. Just another one of those with a snap ring, and it's piston. It'll have a piston. It won't look like this. Might have more shape to it, but it's basically the same concept. But then it's gonna look with nothing left under there, and it just give you a closer up, because I know when I did this and that one over here, it was like, you know, not as close. So this way, but I didn't use this tool though. So on top of that, for those two sub-assemblies, but that's how you'll go about pushing that ring of springs down, so you can get to that snap ring removed a lot easier. But also keep in mind, you will have to position this and this. Also make sure it's out of the way in a good spot to where you have the best access to the ends of the snap ring, because you have this in the way and you're trying to, in the snap ring openings there, you're gonna have a, you know, harder time depending on what's in the way or not. So that's basically it. This is the bottom of the barrel. Only thing that's sitting on this bottom of the barrel is the piston, and Once you remove that piston, there's nothing there. And then if you have like a air compressor hose or something, you can place it somewhere and feed it air, and it'll push the whole, pop that whole piston out. But before that happens, you have to get that snap ring out and go around and see all the bottom gone, the servo's gone. Only thing that's left is this linkage here. Don't necessarily have to mess with this or this. Just try, if you get water on the metal, of some kind of metal, be sure you get it off, otherwise it's gonna start to rust a little bit. You can spray like WD-40, it'll heal it up a little bit. That's for the governor right there, and that's the back of the transmission. Transmission mount still on there with the 2 bolts. I mean, yeah, for the transmission mount. So, and the cases are much lighter. That's where you hook up your cable coming in from the computer to your lockup wire harness that runs from there. Then it runs in the bottom transmission. That's what hooks up to the valve body that you seen in the first video. That's basically it. And here are all the pieces. This was all from the first video, the valve body and everything else, accumulators, check balls, wire harness, the tailpiece, servo and governor from the first video. And then on this video, we got and started tear down inside the barrel case of the transmission for the 700R4. Started with the transmission pump and just went all the ways. Starting from here, that was torque converter, bottom of transmission, and then keeping all in the line in order. And remember, I took pieces and clutches out of these sub assemblies. You can order, placing them in order, you know, the best way that suits you, whichever is best for you, you know. If you don't want to take them apart right away, and you just want to lay every piece out until you're done and then go back and open up these sub assemblies to take the clutches out, you could do it that way too. I was just trying to show it this way, you know, just I'm trying to get the rest, the remaining of the teardown on just this second video, so I didn't have to make a third teardown. So, and then this was the, you know, the start of the, for the output of the transmission. That was the input. up to there. Then here starts with the output. The sun gear and that. That's the output shaft itself, and that and that. And the last of the 5 clutches, clutch pack sets. And then that's the anti-rattle clip. That's basically it. And that's it for this 700R4 transmission teardown. And the next video will most likely be that will be the assembly, because he'll be putting all these pieces, everything back together, reversing from what was in these 2 videos. And you know, just doing it backwards, assembling it, putting it back together. So I might call that part 3, but it won't have nothing to do with teardown. So next video will be the reassemble of the 700R4 transmission.